Hi, I'm Jeff Stokes. Welcome to Jeff's Daily Dose of Encouragement. Today, I want to encourage you about financial giving. I know this can be a bit of a touchy subject for some people, and I know that sometimes there are, churches and movements that deal with the giving of money in a way that's, I believe, not right. But I'm just going to go from, in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul deals with the situation, and I'm specifically talking about supporting people who are in full-time ministry and things like that. And the first thing I would say is, particularly to do with the churches, make sure that you are in a church where you are wholeheartedly able to, give yourself to. Because if you're not, it may be a hindrance to releasing, finances into that. You've got to, before you want to release your well-earned money into a ministry, and some people aren't even earning. Some people are, like retired and things like that, and they're not earning. But nevertheless, your hard-earned cash or the money that you have, you don't want to just give it to something that your heart's not really into. So you've really got to make sure that first is the thing. And then Paul says this, in verse 6 of chapter 9 of 1 Corinthians says, Paul starts and says, "Or I only and Barnabas, have we not power to forbear working? Who goes to war at any time at his own cost? Or who plants a vineyard and eats not of the fruit thereof? Or who feeds a flock and eats not of the milk of the flock? So I say these things as a man, or says not the law also? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle the ox, or the mouth of the ox that treads out the grain. Does God take care for oxen? Or says he it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he that ploughs should plough in hope, and he that threshes in hope should be a partaker of his hope. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather? Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things, lest we should hinder the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that they which minister about the holy things live of the things of the temple, and they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so has the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel." And so it's right and good that people that that's their main calling in life is to be in the gospel. They have I guess it's like a divine right to be supported for it. Nevertheless, those that are preachers of the gospel, who are called to the gospel, have got to be careful about how they deal with that. So Paul goes on to say, "But I have used none of these things, neither have I written these things, that it should be so done unto me. For it were better for me to die than that any man should make my glorying void. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe unto me if I preach not the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me, what is my reward then? Verily, that when I preach the gospel, I make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel." So Paul's attitude was that he would preach the gospel anyway, whether he was supported or not. So from the perspective of the people that are in full ministry, as much as you can, you should obviously be supporting yourself and things like that, but it is right and good. And especially, I have a church, my pastors, they work full-time and things like that, or my pastor's actually out of a job now, but they work full-time, and the church is only small, so the financial contributions to pay them to be in ministry are limited. But nonetheless, the goal would be that eventually they would be able to be paid, because if God's called them to full-time ministry, eventually they should have the right, as it were, to live off the gospel rather than having to work for a wage. I mean, Paul was a tent maker and supported himself. He supported himself so he could make the gospel free, even though he had a right, as it were, a God-given right to live off the gospel. We don't just, a lot of churches are in really poor areas, and the people don't have the resources to be able to pay. And so we have to always be prepared, if we're in full-time ministry, to support ourselves. But it doesn't mean to say that at some stage it's not right that we should be supported, even if it's partially. So anyway, my encouragement for you today is, as much as you can, you find yourself a place where you are wholeheartedly supportive of the ministry in every aspect, including financially, and then give willingly as the Lord leads you. Give, as much as you can without putting yourself under hardship, and knowing that it is the will of God that those who are tasked with feeding you, as it were, as a shepherd feeds the flock, they do have a divine right, if you like, to be supported. If they share and are pouring their lives out for you, then it's only right that you support them in that. I hope I haven't waffled too much, and I hope that's clear. If you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For whosoever shall confess that Jesus is the Son of God, God dwells in him, and he in God. God bless you. Have a great day.